guys, so we're at City Hall. That's the stop. That is the destination when it comes to Diddy Trial. So this is pre-busy time for commuting in the city. In another hour, you won't be able to walk through here. It's that crazy. So this side will take me back about 242nd Street later on today. I'm heading toward the Bronx. Take the 4, 5, and 6. That side, I will go to Brooklyn. I'll take the 4, 5. Whenever I take my family to Barclays, I go to Barclays. That's the way I would go. Really easy. You can take that 4, 5, and 6 train straight out of Grand Central right to Barclays to the game. So it's really easy. I could drive my new truck and all that stuff, but why put miles on it? Plus, I can go live. I can do work. I do a lot of investing. So this gives me time to just sit and get a few things done. It's tough to do all of this, but this is all a part of attending the Diddy trial. Oh man, I hope it's not raining. Let's look at this. Yep, it is raining. So this is the lower district of New York City. This is where the World Trade Center went down. Pretty nice skyline. Usually we see homeless people out here, but it's raining. And this right here will lead you right over the Brooklyn Bridge. So so they bring, Diddy is actually locked up in Brooklyn. So they bring him right over here to the federal courthouse. Again, when I covered Donald Trump's trial, this is where I had to come down to. It was a madhouse, but at least his trial was more organized as far as getting in line and so forth. But anyway, I'm gonna get back to the trial and give you guys a few inside points about it. I sat with the body language expert, and I'm telling you, I'm so happy to become friends with her because I'm going to be able to bring you guys some solid information. Listen, I could go home just to get viewers and all this stuff. I'm not really big into that. I'm doing my dance. This is my dance. If you guys want to join me, I'll make it possible for you. But I ain't tripping on it. If you want to like the video and support me, you can. You notice I don't ask for money. I pay to stand in line every day. I pay to commute. I'm doing this for 2 months. Imagine the jurors that don't have much money. I have to open my umbrella. This is quite the challenge. I got this umbrella in Italy. Yep, I bought this in Italy. All right. I bought this umbrella in Italy from some African guys that were looked like they were struggling to exist in Italy. I didn't like what I saw, so I supported those brothers and bought an umbrella, and now that's the umbrella. But anyway, getting back to the trial, we got to walk down about 2 blocks. Not too bad. These guys here, they make $1 million a year on the average, and you wouldn't think that would be the case, but these little stands are highly sought after. So anyway, let's get back to the trial. The body language expert was explaining to me that when you're in a case like this, it's better for you to ignore the jurors, because they're constantly looking at every expression. Like when Cassie was on the stand saying that Diddy was beating her, or when the prosecutors, these are all the federal municipal buildings and so forth. So everybody was looking at Diddy's in the jury. They look at whoever's on the stand, they look at Diddy just to kind of see, is he nervous or is he kind of guilty or whatever. But Diddy in this case, he appears, because I watched him yesterday, he came out, he spoke to me. He speaks to people. He was like, thanks for coming. He speaks to people that he see in the courthouse. He's starting to recognize certain of us, because some of us have been there pretty much every day. I've been there every day. This is something that I want to document for all time. And I have communications with the defense too, and so forth. So it's good to get I get an inside look at this case, but I won't get into that because of all the gag orders and stuff. I have to wait to talk about all that. But at any rate, Diddy, in many cases, she felt like he was doing too much as far as trying to show expression to members of the jury. So I hope that none of us would be in a situation where the feds come after you. But as a body language expert, she's going to be on the channel this weekend explaining all of this, what she thought about Cassie. So when she comes on my channel, if you guys really want to know what's happening, you have to go. I've done shows with two attorneys, Calvin Johnson out of Texas, who represented Big Meech at some point. You know, he was tied into that whole thing. He was explaining a lot about that. And then I have Candace Kelly, who you see on Roland Martin. She's been on the channel. You should go check her out. She's a legal analyst and she teaches at the university down in New Jersey. So I'm bringing you people top notch this week. I have an anchor coming on. I'm also going to have someone from Law and Crime and TMZ. So yeah, I try to save my shows to bring you some solid people. But at any rate, I'm going to tell you about this RICO and what I think so far. We started off the first week with jury selection. And I'm about to walk to the courthouse, so you're going to see people waiting in line. And again, you guys get this, what I call the nosy view. You get to see the backside of how this thing works. And I know I like seeing stuff like this. So, you know, if it works for you, then I'm glad to do. But at any rate, the first week when they were doing the jury selection, I noticed that this gentleman right here is from the court. Yes, sir. How are you?
All right.
The man. Yes, sir. I got some sleep finally. Yeah. Much better today. So at any rate, first week jury selection, all the women, they started with 600 people. They boiled that down to 45. And out of the 45, the final 45, they had to boil it down to 12 and plus 8 alternatives. So we have, 18 people sitting in the jury booth. Only 12 will render that decision in the end. The other 8 are backup just in case something falls apart. But most of the women that they were interviewing as I was sitting there, they was like, I saw the video, he's guilty. And remember now, in the opening arguments, they made it very clear that this is not a domestic violence case. This is a federal racketeering case. And so, but what's coming out in court is mostly domestic violence, at least initially. So the first week, they started off with the video, and they showed you, because there's basically, I'll just simplify it, 3 major charges: racketeering. Number 2 is sex trafficking. So you can see the line. Everybody's out here waiting in line with their umbrellas. The second one is sex trafficking with force, fraud, and coercion. And then third is sex trafficking crossing state lines. So when it comes to the force, they show you in the video, actually in court, Cassie testified that that whole video, that thing happened at the Intercontinental Hotel, that was a freak off, and that there was a sex worker in the room, and basically he had given her a black eye. She was making a run for it, so he pulls her back. So they laid out force. Like, if you look at that simplistically, how can you get around that? Day one sex worker comes in, I think his name is David, I believe, and he talks about basically how Cassie says her husband isn't gay, so it came out that there's no gay activity in the trial. Hey Sylvia, how are you? Shout out to you. Tell us what your channel is.
Infamous Sylvia.
All right.
How are you, man?
I'm good. Hey, how are you?
You're not mad at me no more, right?
What's that? No, I tried to get you in. Good deal. Yep. This is the brother that was on the train. So the first sex worker, basically, morning, brother. The first sex worker said that Cassie basically paid him, well, it was $200. They had basically ordered him from Cowboys and Angels, which is a stripper club for male dancers, and the fee was going to be $200. Cassie answered the door. He said that she was so beautiful that it was like, yeah, I want some, yeah, I would do this for free, basically. And Cassie offered him $3,000 to $4,000 to do the whole sex off thing. So how do you get around that for prostitution? I mean, they're laying it out. The Punisher, he's on CNN. I watched him last night. I'm going to go through his video tonight. But he's on CNN talking about, and in court he testified that he was getting $800 to $1,200 to $2,000 to do these freak offs where he's having relations with Cassie while Diddy is watching and doing what he do and all this stuff. How do you get around that? And Diddy had 5 houses, and these people, these sex workers, even though they're grown, as my grandmother would say, grown rusty-tailed men, they're being flown from New York to LA to Miami because they were getting, like even the guy yesterday, this little guy, Nash, who's the stylist, he's going to take the stand again today. They found him on Craigslist. What's up, brother? So that's the brother that got on the train with me. He's on the big networks, so that's why he's over there and going to his box. He's a heavy hitter. I'll get him on the channel for you guys too. So anyway, these guys are being flown over state lines. Like, if you look at that with Ockham Grazer, keeping it very simple, like, how do you get around that? Here's another thing. Everybody's saying the case is about domestic violence, right? So you beat your woman, you beat your girlfriend, domestic violence at home. Well, how do you explain Diddy beating the chef? You know? And then on top of that, when the chef was beaten, the executive assistant, David James, he came in last week and basically said that when he got there, Diddy told him to file a police report saying that the chef beat him. So now they framed that, the prosecutors framed that as obstruction of justice. So that's like, how do you, these are, every day you're getting this whole trickle effect, right? So if you were uncertain about this whole case at that point, here comes in Kid Cudi. We're all turning around just to see what this guy's about. Diddy's turned around. That's the only witness that I've seen Diddy actually turn around to see him walk into the courtroom. But at any rate, Kid Cudi comes in and says, hey, my house was burglarized. My dog was traumatized all the way until he eventually died. The defense says, hey, we don't want them bringing up the dog and the dog being traumatized, the state of mind of the dog. because on the jury there could be some dog lovers, and that could sway them against, muddy the waters against Diddy. Kid Cudi then explains how his car was basically blown up. It was argued. Like, how do you get around that? That was a very dramatic day. Then Capricorn Clock came on, and she cried all day, talked about how basically someone stole Diddy's Jesus piece, diamond necklace, his bracelet, and watch that he had on loaner from Jacob the jeweler. So one of Diddy's security guards took her up into the sixth floor of one of these New York buildings, a building that was under construction. And she said she walked in, they locked the doors behind her. She could not leave. They had her there for 5 days. They would take her home at the end of the day. She lived in Queens at the time. They would go over to her. At the first night, the security guard went into the house and ransacked everything looking for these diamond pieces, and even went through her roommate's stuff. So now that's not domestic violence. This is, this is getting serious. She said that the little guy, the way she described it was like a movie. She said she went up to the sixth floor. It was like The Sopranos. There was this big, fat guy sitting there. I think she said white guy. He was 5 times her size, train smoking. And he said, listen, if you don't pass this lie detector test about this jewelry, we're going to throw your ass in the Hudson. And she said she was terrified. And she's up there crying. She can't get her words out. Like, every day I leave here and I hear people distorting this story. They add to it. Oh, this is not a RICO. Okay, I get that. But then that day in, you're like, okay, I think Diddy survived it. But let's see what happens. Well, we come in 2 days ago on Monday, no, Tuesday. Tuesday was the first day. Guess what? Capricorn Clock. First thing out the prosecutors. Were you kidnapped? Yeah, I was kidnapped. Oh my God. You're like, damn. So now you got a kidnapping. Very simplistic. I don't think anybody doubted the fact that she was kidnapped. But then the defense tore her apart and showed that in many instances, but she had 2 cases where she was allegedly, they painted a picture of kidnapping, because the day of Kid Cudi's incident, she described how Diddy pulled up to her house at 5:30 in the morning, knocking on the door, had a gun in his hand. It says, why you didn't tell me Cassie was cheating? This is the courthouse. Why you didn't tell me she was cheating and this and that? And we're going to go kill this nigga. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it went down. And he has a gun in his hand. She goes with him. Like, how you gonna get around this stuff? I mean, R. Kelly went down in this same district, and I seen, like I said, I was attending Donald Trump's trial like this. A former president, 34 felonies, he couldn't shake one, and he had legal teams and all this stuff. So one thing I learned, and then I have to go get a little breakfast. I'll tell you this. This is what I learned from this case. In the state, right? Hold on a second. I'm trying to. Yeah. When you deal with the state, they arrest you and start building their case. When you deal with the government, the federal government, they already have their case before they arrest you. So when they came for Diddy, they had a boatload of evidence against him. It's going to take an act of a God of some sort to get through this. But I will tell you, some of the jurors like Diddy, and they don't like the witnesses. In the end, there's a good possibility that all it takes is one, they just might save him. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. You can like if you like the video, share, subscribe. But I'm gonna keep dropping this information whether people like it or not. So thank you, and I'll catch you later.